Hello everybody. Today I want to show you how to draw on black paper using colored pencils. Now, this is mainly just an overview because I was drawing on kind of a cheaper black paper. It's part of a sketchbook called White Black Graph Craft. It has white paper, black paper, graph paper, and craft paper. You can find this sketchbook at Bull Moose. It's a pretty good book, though. I like using oil pastel because the paper, I like using oil pastel on it because the paper is kind of smooth. And when you're doing black color pencil, when you're doing black paper drawings, you want to have paper that's a little bit more, has a little bit more tooth. So, and the color pencils I was using were decent quality, but if I had used something like Prismacolor or Faber-Castell, it probably would have layered better. So I started off the drawing using an HB pencil, just to get the basic outline, and because of the paper, the graphite didn't show up as well as I was expecting it to. And you also want to draw it really lightly with the graphite because you'll be going over it with the white color pencil. And what's really important is, with these color pencil drawings on black paper, is you want to start with white because otherwise you won't be able to get any good highlights. So it's good to do the basic drawing with the white color pencil, and then to go over that with the different colors. And you want to make sure you put in your highlights first, at least the first layer, with the white colored pencil, so you know where the highlights are going to be later on when you add, for example, the yellow to kind of add that sunlight. So by drawing in with the white colored pencil first and indicating the highlights and whatnot, those areas will appear brighter. And you can also go back in with white as well. So this first tree that I'm drawing is a gray birch, and I had a little bit of trouble with the texture of the bark because when you're drawing with white colored pencil on black paper, it's the reverse of drawing with like a black colored pencil on white paper. So you kind of have to, it's almost like a negative space kind of drawing. Not quite. It's basically drawing the white bark around the darker patches instead of drawing the dark patches on the white bark. So I spent quite a bit of time doing that. So here I'm going in, creating the highlights with the white colored pencil. And you can see it shows up pretty well. It's pretty bright on the paper. I was using the Crayola Artist grade colored pencils. I think they're a pretty good pencil. They would have worked better on a higher quality paper. Just like Prismacolor could probably work better on this paper and the higher quality paper. The paper I do recommend is by Strathmore. It's called Artigain. You can either get the Artigain in black or you can get other different colors. But I really like the black paper. And now I'm going in with the jade green, and this is the first layer color that I add. And as you can see, it's layering pretty well. Because this paper doesn't have as much tooth as the Artigain paper, the layering was a little bit tricky, but in the end it turned out okay. And I'm just using circular motions, going over the marks that I already made, and I also used circular motions when I applied the white color pencil. And as you can see, it's blending fairly nicely. I like this color on the black paper. And what's really great about black paper, drawing on black paper, is your subject, like the tree here, just really pops. It really stands out. You have a nice dark background, and the thing that you're drawing is really light compared to that background. And as you noticed, I turned off the backlight on my camera. I usually have the backlight setting on when I'm doing most tutorials, because if I don't, it shows up too dark. However, with the black paper, it's actually too bright, so I had to turn that off. It's still kind of a little bit too dark, but when my hand is not next to the tree, you can see it a little better. So I'm doing the normal process what I usually do. I went over the jade green with robin's egg blue, and then I'm using the blue for the shadows. And then I go in with yellow to create the highlights. And this is kind of what really makes it pop a little more. It gives it more of that natural, like, sunlight that's lighting up the tree. And of course I go back and forth after I color in the grass with yellow green, and then I go over that with yellow. That's more highlights. And then I just kind of go back and forth touching it up with the jade green, the yellow, and the blue to create more shadows, trying to create a little bit more depth. Basically just adding the finishing touches. And in the end, I really liked how this turned out. And of course I go in with white and work on the trunk a little bit as well. So now on the second tree, I'm just doing some kind of spruce tree, and like for the first drawing, I start with the white color pencil. And of course I'm doing this the way I draw most of my evergreen trees, which is starting from the top and working my way down. And this was quite interesting. I really liked how this turned out. It actually turned out better than I was expecting. And so I do the highlights on the top. The light source is going to be coming from mainly directly above for this tree. And so I go in with green, and I basically color over the entire areas of foliage on the tree. The only problem was the white highlight kind of looked like just a branch, a thin line. However, when I went over with the other colors, it kind of blended in, kind of smoothed it out a little bit, but it also kind of added an extra highlight, sort of. It kind of really enhanced the highlights. So then I go over that with robin's egg blue to kind of make a nice bluish green color for this tree. And then going in with the blue to create the initial shadows, I eventually go back in with black to kind of darken it a little bit. And then yellow to add the highlights. And you can see it's really working well with the white that was already there. And of course I used gray and brown for the trunk, and then brown for the ground. And that's why I use black for some of the shadows and also for the trunk. And then back in with the white to add some more highlights, to enhance the highlights. Alright, and there's the completed drawing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and next time when I do a black paper drawing, I'm going to go more in depth, and I'm going to use the higher quality Artigain paper. Alright, so I'll see you next time.